Hey everyone, so I wanted to talk a little bit today about stopping our thoughts with brain retraining. And I've been hearing a lot from people lately and just reading a lot about some people that think that doing the stopping of the thoughts is a negative, or it's repressing trauma, or it's telling ourselves or our bodies that our thoughts don't matter, which I understand in some ways. If you're doing a practice a certain way with more of a negative connotation, it could feel that way. But I wanted to give some examples from both DNRS and the Rational Approach to ME by Loz Evans, which is a free book that you can download online, and also the lightning process, because they all have a very similar response. And their example here, especially the Loz Evans book, talks about how when there's a stimuli, our thalamus is kind of the air traffic controller, and it directs whether that stimulus gets channeled through the amygdala, where the fight or flight response happens, or if it goes to the neocortex and is dealt with in a more rational way. And so we are trying to redirect our immediate response to stimuli to go through the neocortex, the thinking rational part of our brain, rather than the amygdala fight or flight response, where the hippocampus is determining everything is a threat because all of our memories and thoughts are linked to threat response. And so when you look at it from that perspective, doing the stop method and then replacing with different thoughts is actually a gentle way of really approaching this. And it isn't rooted in trying to shove down or repress feelings. It actually is coming from just a way of hijacking the brain differently. So the example would be, different thoughts or sensations that might be very common for us, especially with chronic fatigue or chronic pain. So thoughts like, oh, well, if I do this, then I'm just going to be in pain all week, or I'm just going to be tired. That is setting us up that we're relying on those negative memories stored in the hippocampus, and it's instantly turning fight or flight mode on. So just because we were tired or in pain in the past when we did something doesn't mean that at this stage in our healing journey, that thing is going to be a trigger. But if we start out with those thoughts, and then those thoughts trigger the amygdala to go into overdrive, it is going to release a cascade of adrenaline and different stress hormones that maybe will make us feel pain or fatigue. So telling the brain to stop is the number one thing there. Or if we overanalyze symptoms, oh, what does this mean? I woke up and that foot hurt today. Does that mean all my joints are going to hurt today? Going down the rabbit hole. But then we're going to be doing body checking and perseverating. So we might even be finding pain where there is none, or triggering the cortisol and the stress hormones, which then cause inflammation, which then could cause pain. So that brain controls these chemical responses. So it's not just repressing things or shutting down thoughts. It's helping the brain to think about things in new ways that are healthier. So another example here would be, and I'm trying to read off this book too because it has such great ideas, but there's also an interesting point that Loz Evans makes, and this is also from DNRS in basic terms and other brain retraining programs, and also within mindfulness-based therapies. As a therapist, I use a lot with acceptance and commitment therapy. You're not just saying stop, but you're also saying thank you. So stop, we have this negative connotation in our culture that stop is like this aggressive, mean term. But you can say stop and mean it in a loving way. So I like to think about it as we're talking to our amygdala, we're talking to our nervous system as if it's a kid. If you ever had to redirect a child or a loved one's child, and you're like, no, stop, like, don't touch the hot stove, stop, that's gonna hurt. It's not like an aggressive thing, it's just stop, thank you for trying to look out for me, limbic system. I understand why you're thinking that way, but please stop. You don't have to react that way anymore. You're safe now. I'm creating a healing environment where you're safe. Depending on the brain retraining program, some of the scripting with the rounds for DNRS specifically, you get more into that script of reminding yourself, we're safe, we're doing a different thing now. Look at all these visualizations we have, look at all the positives we're doing. The Loz Evans book just says all you really have to do is keep it simple and say stop, thank you, but stop. So I think wherever you need to go with that, I like the idea of maybe initially journaling out, what would I say to my amygdala right now? I want to say stop to these thoughts, but then I want to say thank you, and I want to acknowledge, this part of my brain. I understand the memories are trying to protect me. I understand my amygdala is doing this because of past experiences. So thank you so much. but you don't have to do that. You can stop overreacting. And I think that's an important thing that we need to know, because we're not trying to repress trauma. We're not trying to say, this isn't real, stop, don't do this ever again, and have it be aggressive. And then we want to start using positive words. So I think part of it too is we get stuck with looking at it from a mindset of CBT. It's very easy to get stuck in a negative feedback loop. So we start to have negative thoughts, and that leads to negative emotions, and that leads to behaviors that reinforce our negative worldview, and that loops back to negative thoughts, like negative interactions with others. And that's really common with chronic pain and chronic illness. So for an example, if I'm having real physical symptoms, right, of every time that I try to go on that walk, I notice that I'm really tired the next day and all my joints hurt, and it just seems like this never-ending pattern, but now I go down the rabbit hole, well, that's because I'm sick and I'll never get better, and so I should just never try that ever again. And the next time someone says, do you want to go for that walk? I'm like, oh, why would you even ask me? That doesn't help. That makes me worse. So now I'm negatively affecting my relationships, and now I have this stuck in my head that I cannot walk at all. Now, before I know it, I'm no longer trying to do anything, and I'm getting more and more caught up in that cognition that I can't do it. Now, obviously, we have to pace. We have to know what our bodies can handle. But how often have you tried to say, well, what if just for today, I go out and I try to just walk half of that block and come back and truly do real pacing, not pacing with the back of your mind, that negative voice from the hippocampus to the amygdala, fight or flight, saying, don't even try it, you're going to regret it, look what always happens. That's where we say stop, because if that negative screen has fallen over the experience, it's setting us up for self-sabotage. So the stop method is to say, I'm trying something new today. Please don't overreact. Stop thinking that way. Thank you for, trying to protect me, amygdala. But today I'm feeling strong. And so starting to add in those affirmations. Today I'm feeling strong. My body feels good. I'm confident that I can at least make it halfway around the block and come back. I'll take a break if I need it. And I know that that is what I need to do to improve my strength, to improve my energy, to improve my outlook. This is going to help me. Then you notice, after trying that little challenge with the positive thoughts, and then you come home, if a negative thought comes up of, oh, now we'll see what happens. No, stop. Why don't I go home and sit and put my feet up? I know that putting my feet up will help my circulation. I'm supporting my body in this journey. There's no need to be negative. I am working on my healing. I am healthy. I am vibrant. I am healing every day. Starting to notice that difference. So we're combining the stop method with then positive affirmations. And then we're saying thank you. We're saying thank you so much, body and brain, for protecting me, but we're doing something new. We're trying something new every day. We're on a healing journey, and I trust that this is the right choice. I trust that this is working towards my highest good and my healing. So I don't know if that is a helpful kind of example, because I know people get really caught up with that, and that's something I've been seeing so much in a lot of brain retraining groups and chronic illness groups, is this feeling of like, are you just gaslighting yourself into feeling better with brain retraining? And I really don't think that's the case. And especially as a therapist, we're really pulling a lot from CBT and NLP and positive psychology with brain retraining. And if you really do a deep dive and read into these programs, it seems oversimplified on the surface. And I understand where that feeling of someone saying stop feels like gaslighting. It feels very belittling of symptoms. But when you look at it from the approach of, I'm stopping a negative feedback loop, but I'm doing it in a loving way. It's, if your child, as a mom, I can just think of like my child, if my child comes to me and says, I can't do this math homework, I'm so bad at math, I'll never get better at math, oh my gosh, I hate it, why do I do this, I'm so stupid, I'm gonna say stop to that, right? Like I'm gonna say, no, my gosh, stop, honey, no, like you're just working, you're learning, of course, you're gonna get better every day, you're gonna have days that are hard, this is something we can work on. That's what the stop method is in your own brain, right? We can't just be we can't just go around not challenging that when the really negative thoughts are coming up, when they're not true, and we know they're not in a basis of reality, and we know that they're going to make us feel worse if we engage in them. visualize that. Visualize what you would say to a loved one or a child who's having those thoughts, and how you could see, if those go uncorrected, what that would lead to, in that situation compared to with your health. So I hope that example makes sense, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend, and just full of healing and love and joy.